guys. Just want to kind of show a little bit of a review, or at least a comparison or demonstration of a few different blacklight bulbs that I tried. Um, I'm a newer collector in general, and just recently started getting into it. My cabinet's right here. It's not very big. It's only about like 12 inches wide or so, maybe about 13. But I knew I was going to have some space constraints based on some of the lights that were out there. So I started looking and asking a few people, and I'll show you what I ended up picking here first of all. Let me go ahead and flip this around so you can see the ones that I'm talking about here. So what I've got right here first off is the Barina. That setup there seems to be probably the one that I'll end up going with because it's compact and packs a real big punch. It's also the most expensive of those. It was like $35 for a 4-pack, which isn't bad. And then that second one here, this Onforu, or Onforu, that was a 4-pack. Now that one's actually the USB powered. That's actually pretty decent. It was only 15 bucks. And then this last one here, this THE Cham 42 watt. That one was the most expensive of everything, I believe. Or no, excuse me. That one was just a single, but being a single, it was $15. They definitely have some bigger ones out there in the same brand. So here we go. Here's what we've got. Let's look at this. So the cheapest ones for the 4-pack was, I've got 2 of them plugged in here in the front, the ones that on video at least probably look the most true purple. It's probably not too much different than this, but anyway, these 2 were the USB powered ones. I've actually got one of them running off this battery bank right here right now, and actually I've got another one running off of one of these right here, which is just a little charger, or cheap charger, or whatever you want to call it. Now, something I haven't tried yet is I was going to go ahead and try and plug this one directly into here onto the side of this, which is just a direct AC. Yeah, looking at that, it looks the same. It's getting provided the same power. Also, on this here, it's got 2 different output modes on it. On this, it's got a 2.1 and like a 1. It looks the same regardless of if you plug it into one versus the other. I'm going to switch it right now. So if you take a look at that, it looks the same. So you don't have to have a real high output battery bank to be able to make it work. So when it comes down to it, it kind of depends on what you're wanting to use as far as power. 2 of these are plug-in options, and one of them is the USB. So really it's going to kind of come down to like what you have space for. Now this one right here, this is the Big Daddy, I call it. I mean, it looks the most premium of everything, especially with the reflectors. It's got a really wide angle to it. Problem is this is about like 14 inches or so, not including these little mount pieces that go on the end. So if you look here in relation to the cabinet that I've got here, I'm going to open it up here. Here's the size that I'm dealing with. So that's completely edge to edge, and it just won't fit inside. I kind of tried messing with it, and you can try and angle it a little bit in the top like this. It just won't quite fit. But looking at this, if I go ahead and turn off the light here, it does a really good job of actually lighting up stuff. So here we go. Now I can move that out of the way. I mean, we're getting a little ambient glow here from these just being down here on the ground, but this here gives it super bright light. Problem is I can't fit it in, so if I could maybe mount it over here on the side of this thing here, it would be pretty decent, but it is kind of focused because it's so close. But anyway, so that one there, that's how that one works. Definitely looks really good if you have the space. I would probably highly recommend this particular one. These smaller ones here, which were the $15 variety in that pack for a 4-pack. These are the USB powered ones. And just to hold this up here, I mean, it works pretty decently. I'm going to go ahead and turn the light out here again. Keep in mind there is a light in the back of the room here as well, but yeah. So here's this, just kind of a couple feet from it. I mean, it definitely lights up quite well. If I go a little closer here, if I try and put it inside, angle it down, I mean, it's definitely bright. I mean, for 15 bucks for a set of 4, you know, you could mount these little guys like right on the side. Maybe a couple on, you know, one on the front and one in the back of the top of the cabinet, or maybe, depending on the penetration, some on the bottom, depending on the type of shelf you have. But I would imagine that trying to put them along the edges in spots like this, or, you know, just the top and bottom mount would be great. Maybe like in the front on one, and then on the front on the top as well, and then maybe horizontally would be good. But so that's the cheapest option there, and that lights up pretty well as well. So the third option I've got here is these Barina lights. This per piece had the most LEDs, I do believe. Per strip it was in the high 40s or 50 maybe, something like that. But this here, just from a couple feet, I mean, that is pretty bright. And that's from the top all the way down to the middle. Well, 3/4, whatever you want to call it. This shelf has a divider here at the bottom that's kind of its own thing. And the bottom's a little smaller, but the amount of coverage you get with these is pretty amazing, and that's without any sort of reflector on it whatsoever. Okay, so here's with all the lights off. There is still daylight outside. It's relatively dark in the room, but just give an example here. I've just got like a small trash can here, just on this, just to have it it's about 1.5 foot, about 2 feet away from the cabinet here, just to give you an idea of like what one of those does. This is actually the On-Fro or whatever, the cheapest one. So that's what it looks like just a couple feet away right here. Next thing is going to go ahead and switch it out to the Barina. Okay, this here is the Barina one. Just right off, it's noticeably brighter, I would say, across the board. And again, you can see how far away this is from the cabinet here. And it's just pointing straight, just directly straight up. This isn't even aimed at it. So it's noticeably brighter just at a distance there. Now if I actually tip it at it, you know, like that, it's even brighter still. Next one you're going to see is the one that cost the, actually it was 15 also. Actually this Barina here was the most, but that was for a 4-pack. And you can actually chain at least two together on one side. The next one here is going to be the one with the big reflectors. So this one here is the one that's, the brand name is THECHAM, TCHAM, whatever. And here's the same thing here. That's just sitting back from it, not even pointed at it, just pointed straight up. I'm going to go ahead and tip it towards it now. And you can see here that's pretty darn bright. And again, this is just slightly angled towards it now. Maybe I don't know, 45-degree angle now. I mean, if I bring it up here and go sideways with it, like vertical, it's really, really bright. Okay, so, well, I mean, each has its pros and its cons, I guess, after looking at this a little bit more. But one thing I will say is that as I was kind of messing with these, just kind of trying to reach the cables here. I mean, I just had this kind of plugged into this strip here and just trying to get them kind of close just for something that you can kind of demonstrate a little bit here. But the one thing that I did kind of notice is that overall the Barina one, which is the one here in the middle that actually has the most lights, at least in the smaller strip here, it actually has the shortest cord. So that one does have the shortest cord, but having said that, you can actually chain these together. They actually come with a cable here that plugs into the end, where right here you can actually chain two of them together with an extension cable here, which doesn't give you a whole lot of length. This is like maybe 1.5 feet or something, but you can actually chain a couple of them together. You might be able to do 4. I haven't looked into it that far yet, but you could at least do 2. If you had a really large cabinet, I could see maybe, across the top you could have maybe several of them bunched up across the top. Most likely people would probably be doing like 2 and 2 maybe. This kind of depends on your setup. In a cabinet as small as what this is here, I'm just really trying to get something in there, period, just to be able to display because it's limited width. So unless you've got literally a cabinet that's like 13 and a half inches, like from wood to wood on the inside, you can probably use almost any of the lights out there. But the reason I was getting into this was because I needed something that was a little on the shorter side, like these two here. As far as temperature, he's been on here for probably 20 minutes or so. This biggest one here, I mean, I can feel it. It's a little bit warm. This is like a plastic external here. I mean, it might get decently warm after hours if it was in a sealed environment. I mean, it doesn't feel too bad just to me as it is now. The cheapest guys here, these ones that were the 15 for the 4-pack, I mean, I feel probably an equal amount of heat. I mean, it's a much smaller package. I mean, these suckers are really thin too. I mean, overall. But yeah, it feels fine. And then, go figure, the one that I like the most probably for my application, these Barinas, probably feels the warmest overall. I mean, it's by no means hot to the point where you don't want to touch it or anything, but it's definitely, it's warm. So again, if you're dealing with something maybe where, heat's an issue, you may not want to choose this particular one. You may want to possibly go with more of these here. And honestly, for the price that they cost, these here, you can buy, what is it, like 8 of them or so for the price of what one of these is here. Because this for a 4, well, this here for a 4-pack rather is for $35. This for the 4-pack is actually only $15. And again, this single one here of this big guy, this one was actually $15 by itself, which for the light output that it puts out is pretty decent. I don't know exactly what I'm going to end up using here for sure. I may end up using a combination of them both, but I think what I'll most likely end up doing is I'll probably end up having this Barina light, or a couple of them up top, most likely. I'm just giving a little example here about how close I can get with this. But if I had this mounted up about this high or clear at the top, we're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of this kind of brightness. Let me go ahead and actually screw this into the top here. Okay, well, as luck would have it, this strip here with that Barina is just with the force of what the bend in the cord is, without any mounting, actually fits right in the very top of the cabinet there with no assistance. And just that one light, well, let me go ahead and flip these over or off here. But just with that, this looks amazing. Just right up in front. Really, really well lit, and that's just a single. I mean, it starts to go away once you get down past the midline here, but by that point in time here, you're already, you know, you're filtering out some of that with 2 layers worth of stuff, plus this wood here, that glass opening is pretty small. It's not nearly as big as the whole shelves. So by the time you get down here, you're really in almost your own separate cabinet. And then just having one of them pointing up in here would be great. I'm going to go ahead and sit one of those down here in the bottom just to kind of loosely demo that now. Okay, so here I've got one bar in the front on the top and one on the bottom here. So take a look. There we go. Looks pretty nice. The doors are actually open right now, just because the cord's kind of hanging out the front. It might actually amplify it just a little more with the doors shut, so it'll reflect off the front doors. But yeah, with just 2 lights, that looks pretty great. The bottom one's angled a little bit towards the glass there, so you're seeing the LEDs in the back. The one in the front here, see it a little bit, but by the time you like close the cabinet door, you won't notice the lights as much at the very top there. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. I don't know if there's been very many people out there doing like any kind of really like comparison reviews or anything on these lights. I couldn't seem to find what I was looking for. As far as the specs on these, I think most of these are saying that they're probably listed as like the probably like the 395 or maybe 360. Take a look real quick here. Yeah, they're saying actually the 385 to 400 nanometer light on most of these. I believe maybe the biggest one there may have actually specified that it was slightly lower as well. Let me see here. No, it says the same thing. So they're all spec'd to be at the same usage. Again, just for closer reference here, there's the one, and those were 15 each. Here's the Barinos, 35 for that particular set. They have a couple of different options here. I almost got 2 sets of this here. The main reason for that is because with the 4-pack, you don't get, well, if you look at the picture here, you only get 2 power cords. So you get the cords that chain these together, which may be fine, but with only 2 power cords, you may be somewhat limited. I don't know. You don't have a whole lot of space in there, so the chain together option is probably the best, I guess. But if you're needing more power cords and you had the available outlet area, going with the 2-pack might be better because you're just 1-to-1 on that. You get 1 power cord for each bar. And then there's a couple other options there as well. And then on the on Fru or whatever this is called, the nice thing about that one, I guess, is that it does have, you know, because it is USB, you have your own cord for each one. They're pretty decent length, and they do have their own switch. Well, so there you go. It might be a little bit long and involved, but you know, hopefully this is something somebody might have some use for, because I didn't really see a whole lot of resource out there. But so pending what your requirements are, whether it be a longer cord or you know, higher output, or if your size limitations are the main thing, that'll probably dictate what you go with the most. Like I said, overall, I'd say that probably these Barinas are probably the best bang for the buck kind of in a sort of way, just because they're so bright. I think you can get away with probably using half of these as you would the cheaper one, which is this guy here. Um, Now, if you did want something mounted on the bottom of each individual shelf somewhere, this is definitely the thinnest option. This here is probably half as thick as what the Barinas are. So these here would be probably the most discreet option overall. And if you were doing it per shelf and had a whole bunch of them, then it would definitely be probably the best choice. The downside to this one is that you can't chain them together, so you'd literally have to have like a massive battery bank and have a whole bunch of them plugged in. This here I think would definitely cover the most territory in a wide range in one piece for sure. So if you're going back far away from something and looking at something that's, you know, from maybe like here to here, I think that this guy here would probably do the best job as like more of a projector style. But anyway, well, hopefully that helps someone out. You know, other than that, that's pretty much it. Have a good one, guys.